Hi, I'm Jill, and I'm going to be taking through a series of podcasts about the university application process. Overall, we're going to talk about research and university options. We'll cover the specifics of your UCAS application process, and then we're going to start thinking about writing your personal statements. We'll go on to consider late applications and also focus on student support. Hello, I'm Jill, and I've got Kate with me today from the university student recruitment team, and she's going to help us with some hints and tips for your personal statements. Hi Kate, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
So, start with the basics. What's a personal statement?
So a personal statement is an opportunity to sell yourself to your chosen university. It's a chance for you to tell them about the research that you've carried out into the course that you're applying for, about why you're passionate about that course, and about where you hope it will lead you within your career. So if you've applied for a really competitive course or an oversubscribed course, it might be used by an admissions tutor to make a final decision on whether they think they're going to offer you a place on that course. So for example, if you've applied for midwifery at Teesside University, which is one of our really competitive courses, and there's one place left on the course, and the admissions tutor's got your application and somebody else's application, you've both studied the same qualification, you've both done some work placements as part of your course, you've both done some voluntary experience, you're both expected to got the same predicted grades, it's going to come down to that personal statement. What makes you stand out against the other person?
No pressure.
Who's applying for that course? No pressure.
So this is a personal statement for your UCAS application. So how long does it need to be? I'm kind of imagining pages and pages.
It's around 4,000 characters, which is around about a page of A4 in size 12 font.
So quite succinct then.
So it is, yeah. I think you think you've got a lot of space, and then when you start working on your personal statement, you realise it's actually not that much. The best bit of advice to give here is don't type it straight into the UCAS application document. Type it up into Word. You can then use the character count on Word to see where you are. So the important thing to remember is that it's 4,000 characters, not 4,000 words.
Oh, that's quite a difference, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. So type it up into Word. You can keep an eye on the count, but also in Word it picks up any spelling or grammatical errors as well, which it doesn't if you type it straight into the application.
So what sort of things, could you give us a bit of a step-by-step of what sort of things to include? Yeah,
so your personal statement really should be a bit of a story. It's something that an admissions tutor actually enjoys reading. So it should have a beginning, a middle and an end. So your beginning should be an introduction to the subject, what you're applying for, why you're interested in it, any research that you've carried out. So things like that you've been to discovery days or taster days, if you've done any particular work experience that it's within that subject. So for example, if you're interested in nursing, if you've got some work experience within a hospital. So those are the types of things that you should be looking to include in there.
So it's really evidencing your commitment to study that course, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You know, it's not just something you thought, oh, well, that sounds nice, I'm going to go for it. You're really showing that, you know, you're in this for the long game.
Yeah, and that you actually know where the course leads to, and you know the types of careers that it can lead to. You should be including in there any voluntary experience that you've done that's not particularly related to the course.
Right.
So for example, if you were involved in the Students' Union at college, if you were head boy, head girl, if you were involved in any sports clubs and societies, and think about the skills that you've got from being involved in those.
So drawing out the relevance
yeah,
and the
absolutely.
transferable.
The transferable skills are really important. So if you're interested in applying for business, for example, you know, what have you done outside of school or college that might make you a good leader?
Right.
They're the types of things that they're looking for, and make sure that you're giving examples, that you're not just saying, oh, I'm a good leader, I've got good timekeeping skills, I'm great at project management. Why are you good at those things?
It might be a weekend job that you've got, it might be some volunteering, it might be some sports coaching, it could be anything, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. And then finish, you know, with a nice closing statement as to what it is that you hope to do, where it is that you hope that this degree is going to lead you to, where you see yourself, and how you think that the degree is going to support getting you there. So you want it to be enjoyable to read.
And it's probably quite a clarifying process in terms of you being clear about those things as well. You know, it kind of helps you work that through yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I would say is that when you start your personal statement, it can seem quite daunting as to where to start. So when you're going to open days and taster days and doing all this research, make notes. So if you've been to an open day and you get home on the night, what did you learn? What that you didn't know before? Put it all down in a notebook. And then when it comes to start writing your personal statement, you've got a bit of a starting point. You're not just sat there staring at a blank screen, not sure where to start. You can look at your notes and start to think back about the experiences that you've had and what you've learned from that experience and how you can incorporate that within your statement.
If your 5 university choices included a couple of different courses, then what would you do about that?
So you only do get to write one personal statement. You can't write a personal statement for each of the courses that you're applying for. You only can write one. So you've really got to think about the courses that you're applying for and how you can tailor your personal statement to that. And it's fine if you're applying for various courses in health and social care, because you're going to be listing similar qualities and similar experiences and things like that within the statement. But if you are applying for something like nursing and games design, it's going to be really difficult to tailor your personal statement. So you've got to think about why you were applying for those courses that are so different. Because like I say, you can only write that one personal statement. So really think about the courses that you're applying for and how you can tailor your personal statement to meet all of those. Academic staff know that you're applying for different courses. They can't see what they are or where they are, but they obviously know that you're going to have used all your 5 choices. So they don't expect it to be exactly tailored to that course. But if you are applying for courses that are vastly different, it might ring alarm bells a little bit as to actually how interested you are in applying for their particular course.
So in your role, Kate, you've probably advised quite a lot of students over the years as to how to complete an effective personal statement. Have you got any top tips that you might want to include at this point?
Yeah, I would really think about how you structure your personal statement. 4,000 characters isn't a lot, so you really need to think about the important things that you need to include within there. What is going to, show you in the best possible light. Think about how it's structured. Think about where certain things within the statement need to go, and that it's actually enjoyable to read. Avoid using any cliches, any acronyms that really don't come across well when they're reading them.
That you might have come across that doesn't work.
Yeah, like opening your personal statement with something like "ever since I was a child,"
right?
And just things like that. Admissions tutors read an awful lot of personal statements, and you want something that is going to kind of ring true with them. And using cliches can sometimes be a little bit maybe it's not so. So try avoiding cliches where possible.
Yeah.
And obviously, abbreviations, lol and things like that. Won't look,
no lols.
No lols.
No emojis.
Won't look great in your personal
then.
statement, so avoid using those. And some of these are common sense, but you would be surprised that we do still see them.
Okay.
Also remember, you do want to get across your personality, but it is a professional piece of work. So just think about what you're putting in there.
Okay, and so that's a good thing to have front of mind.
Yeah. Something else to bear in mind is, as I've mentioned previously, don't just list your skills. That doesn't really mean anything. Make sure that you're always taking it back and providing an example of how you've used that skill and how you think it will benefit you within the course that you're studying in, and also within the profession as well. So for things like nursing, you've got to have particular skills to be a nurse. You've got to have good communication skills. You've got to be able to demonstrate empathy. How have you got those skills, and how are they going to benefit you within your profession and on your course as well? Sometimes I think people are tempted. There's obviously a lot of examples of personal statements out there, and I think sometimes people might be a little bit tempted to do a bit of plagiarism. Avoid doing that. It's got to be an original piece of work. UCAS use a piece of software, and it will pick up any frequently used words and phrases, which isn't a great start to your university experience.
No, not ideal.
So whilst we really encourage you to look at different examples that are out there, people who are applying for the same course as you, and they might write in a similar way to you, make sure that the words that you're using are your own. It's really important to also include any academic achievements. And this isn't just necessarily, subjects where you've really excelled, although it is important to include that. It's about thinking about what you might have had to overcome. If there's a subject that you've particularly struggled with, you've had to work really hard, you've completed extra assignments and coursework, or attended additional revision sessions, and you've worked really hard to do well and achieve the grade that you need to get into university. Make sure that you include that as well as obviously those academic achievements where you've really strived and done really well. And finally, get it checked. The likelihood is you're not going to write it and it's just done. You could potentially be writing 6 or 7 drafts of your personal statement, and you start to miss things, start to forget to include things. So get it checked by as many people as possible, friends, family, careers advisors. They might say, oh, can you remember you went on this experience day, or we did this, and they'll remind you of things that to include in there, and they'll also might pick up any spelling or grammatical errors that hasn't been picked up in Word. So get as many people as you can to check it. And
some colleges and universities will have as part of their process that that will be checked at the final stage. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you complete a UCAS application, you will be asked for a buzzword, and that will just link your application to your college. So then your college can check the personal statement, and they can also attach a reference as well.
So some really helpful guidance there, Kate, on how to write the ideal personal statement for the course that you're really interested in. So thanks for that, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Welcome.
If you have any questions about what we've spoken about today, we're really happy to help, and you can just get in touch in the usual way through our social media channels or through our online chat.